it got worse for me even after I attempted my life. Life got worse for me. You know, going into prison, coming out. When I'm 35 years old, I'm literally, everything's been cut back from me. There is no more money. There is no more fans calling my name. There is no more, you know, like, I don't wake up my kids every day. You know, that's a guilt within itself for my own journey. You know, like all these things were hurting me as a person. So, like, I had to fight back. Professional boxing probably saved my life again, to be brutally honest with you. I'm McKenzie, and this is me behind the headlines. I'm from a boxing family, my dad being a former British European champion, my uncle Duke being a former 3-time world champion. So boxing was in my life since early ages. I was bullied quite badly actually, and I remember one time I just sort of had enough. My dad had a gym at the bottom of the pub, and you know, all boxers used to come in there, and I just started learning how to fight. Obviously my dad always like looked after me anyway, but I just started taking it seriously, learned how to fight, and that was when I kind of got introduced to boxing really at about 7, 8 years old. Didn't really do too well in school and exams and all that, just wasn't really for me, and I always like had football like set in my heart. I remember leaving school one time, I was like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? You know, I got literally struggling here. So I remember just literally writing to every single professional club, and every letter I got back turned me down. But little did I know again that Palace were actually watching me. So when I found that out, I approached Mark, his name was at the time, in school, and I said, look, please, like, can I have your dad's number or your home number, or like, I just want to call him and try and arrange a trial. Called him, said, look, I'll do anything. I'm so desperate to get a trial. Please let me come down to Palace and just prove to you how hungry I am. And that it was the longest trial I've ever had, 6 months. So I had to work really hard. I had ability and I had talent, but I was far behind the others that were very natural. You know, no one ever taught me how to hold up a ball. No one ever taught me maybe even how to strike a ball properly. Little things that they all seemed to have a little bit better than me at the time. And I had to work extremely hard. I became, you know, the most prolific goal scorer at Crystal Palace, highest goal scorer along the lines of where Michael Owen was coming through. So it would be like myself, Michael Owen, you know, Jason Ewell, Carl Court, that we were all kind of like, we was all sort of battling, but we was all breaking through at the same time. And I just overtook everyone, just through sheer hard work and just dedication and listening to the likes of Steve Coppell at the time. And I made my debut at 17 years old, and that call was just probably the best day of my life. I remember I scored a hat-trick on the Saturday in the youth team, and Steve Coppell and Ron Knowles at the time, bless his soul, was watching me, and they said, they took me off at half-time after I scored a hat-trick, and I was just like, why'd you do that? And then Steve Coppell said to me like, well, Lee, you're gonna play like the Tuesday coming in the Coca-Cola Cup. And I was like, is this a joke? I had a really good game. I just took it in my stride. I thought, you know what? You see in life when you get certain opportunities and you just have to just take that. And I took it with both hands and both feet and literally just ended up scoring on my debut. I knew that I'd deliver some way, shape or form. It was just about getting that opportunity. There were so many players that got the opportunity but never put in the hard work. They never put in the work. They never had that proper desire that I had. If you see the way I played, I was very explosive, and you know, I'll chase balls down like my life depended on it, because that's how bad I wanted it. The thing is, I think what gave me a head start is that I used to watch my dad train like a lunatic. And with watching that, you are under the influence of someone that is having a desire in a different sport, but to try and be the best in what he's trying to do. I watched that and I observed and I took that in. Anything that I do, it wouldn't be like half-hearted. So, and that's no matter what I did in my life, as my life goes on and the story goes on, you'll see that I've had different transitions and character building and character changing along the way, and you'll see that it's just in my DNA.
So if you could go back and give your younger self advice, one bit of advice, what would it be and why?
Oh, okay. Wouldn't have got married to my first wife. I'm just keeping it real. Love my children though. Love my children. My dad Clinton is my best friend. I've looked up to him, since I was able to kind of understand life really. With his imperfections also comes love, passion, and loves me in a way that I can't even really describe to you. When he says a chip off the old block, he's seen my journey, he's seen me grow. He always tells this story. He says, like, son, I remember when I picked you up in my garden when you was born and I held you up to the sky. I said, Dad, it sounds like Lion King or something. And he says, no, son, honestly, this is the honest truth. I picked you up and held you up to the school. I said, thank you, God, because you're blessed. And he really believed that I was blessed. And I guess as he's seen me go on to become a professional footballer and ended up going into a sport, which is another story that he's very familiar with, he sees that special quality in me, and I guess that's where he tries to describe that, it's a chip off the old block, because he's grown me. When I went into professional boxing, I was 35 years old, which is quite out of the ordinary. What everyone doesn't realise is that when I did sort of decide to go down the professional boxing route after my football career, I was in a very, very dark, bad place, emotionally, mentally, just kind of lost my identity slightly and wasn't coping with life too much. And I remember saying to my dad at one particular time, I said, Dad, I need to literally fight back in life right now. And this is the God's honest truth. We had that conversation. I looked him in his eyes and I said, I want to jump in the ring. And he looked at me and then he just smiled. He just said, let's do it. And that was the conversation, and I never really looked back. Boxed for English title, won an international masters title, as you know. When I sort of got to 38, 39, I was feeling the difference in recovery, and just little things were giving me signs, and I struggled with the weight. But when I look at the whole journey and the whole period of the time that I had, I'm literally a few points away from being champion of England at the age of 38. A few points. And to be honest with you, I should have won that fight, but it wasn't my time. And I come away from a sport which people weren't sure how it was going to be at first, but to go into another sport and play at a fight at an elite level, and I won fight of the year and won a professional belt just within itself. To achieve that is a big deal. Prison, I would say, made me a better person, to the point of I was able to grow. While I was incarcerated, I was able to grow. When I first walked into an ACAT prison, which they saw the need to put me in the highest risk prison, with rapists, murderers, paedophiles, the lot. What I did is pay someone to take my speeding points for me. At a time I was just not really, being cloudy. Ultimately, I broke the law. I took it on the chin, that's fine. But I've never been in trouble in my life. So that was my kind of fight back. Please, just give me a chance. I've never been in trouble. This is, a bit of a bad period in my life. I'm not asking, for, I just want to have a chance here. But they didn't see that it became a little bit more bigger than what I actually had done. So I was accused of being the main distributor, should we say, of, there were so many footballers doing it at the time and paying a particular person to you know, kind of make the points go away and whatever. You know, there was a little bit of ignorance in there from me, naivety, and I put my trust in someone to do it, and it didn't get done. It all fell on me, and I wasn't the one that was doing, you know, writing the letters or forging it like they were saying. All I did was pay some of my money, take my points, and that was what I done. But the way it was made, you know, they put a lot in there where I was the main person, never actually caught the main person that I know full well who was helping other footballers do what I was doing. And there was footballers that was named to me, you know, they had their names, but they didn't see prison. So unfortunately, I had to do what I had to go in there and I had to do what I had to do. You know, when I first walked in and they shut the cell doors, you know, I burst into tears because of the simple reason of, you know, it was only a few years prior that I'm playing Premiership football. So my whole life is just kind of, what is going on? Like, what is going on? Like, literally that. So I had to fix myself up. I had choices to make. I had to make a choice. Sometimes you have to make certain choices in life. And while I was in there, I had to be productive. So the first thing I needed to do is put myself into a routine of being able to succeed in there, number one, but two, have the routine of keeping myself active. So I went and spoke to one of the prison officers. Can I have a job, please? So I got myself a cleaning job in prison. Then I went from cleaning to working in the kitchens, delivering food and so forth. So I did all that because it put me into a routine, get certain other privileges. Had to box clever while I was in there. Tried to keep my head down. Unfortunately in there, you know, my card was marked because, you know, they got tellies in there. So they knew I was coming in. And there's a lot of youngsters in there that think, you know, think prison's great and it's great to be in prison and I'm so bad because you got prison on your CV or whatever. I was challenged a few times and luckily I could look after myself. But at the same time, I will say that it was actually, I played a bit of five-a-side football in prison and I was scoring goals. I remember just goal hanging, scoring goals, load of goals, like just taking the mick really. And I remember this big Nigerian guy, must have been about 17 stone. And he must have tapped me on my shoulder, whispered in my ear, says, if you score another goal, I'm gonna break your legs. And you know when you say things, right, and you're like, why have you just said that, Leon? Like, why don't you just keep your mouth shut? But for whatever reason, I sort of said something to him. I said, like, oh, shut up, you, like, whatever, mate. Just kind of told him to do one. And he turned around and he goes, like, what? Like, so we've sort of like, I thought, oh no, like, we have to like, try and like, but I saw 3 punches already before because he was quite a big guy. So I thought, if this guy grabs me, it's a problem. So I'm gonna have to just be really fast here and like, try and lay a few on him so he doesn't really fancy it. But it got broken up and he sort of said to me like, this ain't over, right? So I said, it was very worrying times for me going back to my cell at that particular time. But there's a courtyard and we get like an hour of being outside. So we have to do like a clockwise and we all have to go around the same, you know, like the same same sort of route. And there was a group of Muslim brothers in the corner and they called my name. Like, I remember this, I was like, oh no, I'm done, like, this is a problem. Leon, like, or McKenzie, I think they said something, give me a little finger, about 6 of them walked over and one of them goes, you hear you had an incident in the gym yesterday. I said, yeah. Well, just to let you know, we've spoken to him and just to let you know he won't be bothering you again. Enjoy the rest of your stay, keep your head down, and we got you. I was like, all right, thanks. Walked away, saw the guy the next day, he put his head down. It was quite, it's quite incredible. I never got bothered in there. And I don't know why I was protected, but they looked after me. You know, Charles Bronson was in my prison. Do you know what I mean? Charles Bronson, Mara Hindley. You know, do you know all these people? Like, so when you hear that, it's just like, oh wow, like, okay, like, and obviously they're like obviously locked away, but they've been where I am. So, finding out all these things. But the most interesting thing for me from a psychology point of view was, because I'm amongst so many different types of people, and, some of them, one guy came into my cell, and you always get asked this question: what are you in here for? Like, that would be like your question. Generally, some of them will know anyway, because, if you got a profile, whatever, they will know. But they wanted to know from me, and everyone sort of asked the same questions. But you knew the ones that were a little bit like naughty, because you could just see. And I saw a few bad things in there that happened, and I was like, oh, like, okay. But one guy was like, yeah, I murdered like 7 people, literally, and he's sitting in my cell on my bed. Like, I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, I had my kids' pictures and that on my kind of like a locker, like not a locker, but little cabinet thing. And he's like, are they your kids? I said, like, yeah. He says, oh yeah. Do you know what, Leon? I respect you. He says, like, amazing that you've done wicked in football, and like, I can't believe you're in here. Like, it's life, But he started opening up to me in a way that was just like, so there was regret in his voice of everything that he'd done in the first place. It's not that I agreed with it, but he was very like, he actually started crying. He was like, I miss my kids, and it was just like, and then like, other people were sort of coming in, and I just found myself just literally, I don't know if a lot of these guys opened up to me just because, I don't know, it was different to their life, maybe so. But I found it really interesting how I was able to listen more than anything, and then kind of incorporate a lot into my own life where I was quite interested in studying. So I started studying counselling, and then went on to, go back to college and start doing that.
How did it feel leaving?
That's a good question, because when I left, I was, I couldn't get out quick enough. Yeah, when I left, I was going through a lot of emotion. I felt a little bit lost. Just, prison puts you in a different, once you get into that routine of prison life, when you come out into, and now I know why a lot of these guys struggle when they come into the real world, and struggle to get a job, and struggle to get back in it again, because so much has changed. So many things of like, things are not the same, and people are not the same, and so many things has changed, and it becomes quite daunting, and there's like a fear that, comes out. I mean, when I saw my wife, when I came out at the time, and I was just like, loved to see her, but at the same time I was a bit like, still, I wasn't myself for a few months. It took me a while, and my kids never came to see me, and my wife never came to see me. I made sure that I didn't want them to see me in that environment. Michael Dewberry came to see me, one of my best friends. I had a few of the boys, Bruce Dyer, a few boys come to see me, just to say that, yeah, we're here, So that was nice. Something can happen in your life where we all be in a position of vulnerability, and it can throw us off. Like, our mindset can just change, whether that you lose someone, whether you go through a divorce, whether you get hurt or health or whatever it is. There's, we're not immune to mental health issues, and my depression kicked in solely because of the simple reason of me not being able to control certain things that were happening to me. Some things we can't control in life. So with me getting injured constantly, you're taking away something that I love and I've been used to doing day in, day out. And I know I can't control what's going on upstairs, and I'm not coping well with the fact that I'm having to be on a treatment room constantly, and having breakdown after breakdown after breakdown. I'm crying. I've never cried so much in my life. And I'm not afraid to say it, because I speak with such openness, because I felt the pain that I was going when I felt isolated and I was locking myself away and I was depressed and I didn't understand life and like all these things that were going on. And yes, fantastic money, and yes, it's a fantastic career and I loved scoring goals, but I'm a human being. We are human beings, and sometimes things can catch up with us. You know, like there's triggers that we all have. When I lost my sister to suicide at the age of 24, I'd probably blocked that a lot out. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I had to go on and continue, but it caught up with me a little bit, because then I started identifying my own issues and I started feeling my own pain. I started going through my own depression. Then I started trying to educate myself. But around that particular time was me not accepting that my career is coming to an end, and not just not being able to cope with anything that my life was bringing at that precise moment in time. I didn't see no way forward. I thought it's finished, it's over. I've had enough, I'm tired, it's draining. I'm sick of feeling hurt, I'm sick of being hurt. I wanted out. So, you know, that last particular injury just sent me over the edge to the point of like, I give up. I gave up for a short period of time where, you know, I had planned it for a little while. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I planned it for a little while and I took a load of pills, and in doing so, just wanted to check out. And I called my dad slightly after. And very fortunately and luckily, like, he wasn't too far away. He could have been anywhere, but he wasn't too far away, because I was staying at a hotel at the time. So I'm, you know, best part hour and a half away from my wife and kids at the time. And, you know, I saw it to just try and, you know, get out of it. I just thought I'm miserable. It'd be easier for everyone else. I'm not myself, and I had enough. And yeah, my dad came, and I was literally just losing it. I always remember this because he came rushing through the room in the hotel with a load of other people, I assume from the hotel, and I literally just lost consciousness, like as he just came through. And that's what I remember. And when I woke up, broke my mum's heart when I woke up, because a lot of people see the selfish, and I understand where you would see it as like, oh, you know, you're selfish. But when you're going through those transitions in your own life and you feel that proper depression, that deep depression that keeps you in that place of sheer darkness, trust me, that selfishness doesn't. My kids are my life. They are my babies, are my everything. Ask anyone that knows me. They are my everything. So for me to be in a position of wanting to end my own life with not even thinking what I'm doing and what I'm leaving behind, I'm not me. So that's where people got to understand the psychology of it, because it's deeper than, oh, you're selfish. No, there's something breaking down in the mind. That's it. Do you see what I mean? So I said to my mum when I woke up in the hospital, and I had all my family and my you know, all around me crying, and I was like, it didn't work then. And my mum just looked at me like, and you know, she burst into tears and walked out. I regret saying that. But from that day, and what I will say is, and I don't tell my story for, you know, to get people to feel sorry for me or like, no. Some choices I made because they were my own bad choices, and some I didn't make because it was out of my control. That's life. But I've always made it conscious that from that particular day, and yes, I still have my bumps, and yes, I still have to fight depression day in, day out, just the way I do it, but I cope with it and I learn how to deal with it because I educate myself in how to do that. At the same time, I try and be positive in everything I say. If you watch how I am, whether that be my social network or how I speak to people, or, you know, when I go out and talk all over the UK to speak openly about what I speak about, you'll see that all I'm trying to do is change a pattern in where I once used to be, and trying to make people understand so many different things that go on within what we suffer. And everything I do is trying to, give people that fight back. And when I went, and I believe that, because when I jumped into the professional ring, all that happened previously, it got worse for me even after I attempted my life. Life got worse for me. Going into prison, coming out, going through a second divorce, and it all got worse to the point of, like, when I'm 35 years old, I'm literally, everything's been cut back from me. There is no more money. There is no more fans calling my name. There is no more, I don't wake up my kids every day. That's a guilt within itself for my own journey. All these things were hurting me as a person. So, I had to fight back. I've been speaking about this for years. Obviously, a lot more people are coming out now and speaking, but anyone that knows me knows I've been doing this for a long time. From speaking openly, not for self-praise, but to save lives ultimately. That's what I believe in. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm doing. When I coach, I'm a professional boxing coach, but at the same time, a PT as well. I love helping people. I love giving people the confidence to be able to feel better about themselves, go on in their life and achieve what they want to achieve. Professional boxing probably saved my life again, to be brutally honest with you. And I went on to do what I was supposed to do because of the simple reason of that I'm not just getting into professional boxing ring, it's deeper than that. I'm getting into a professional boxing ring to fight back in my life once again. And that's the honest truth. It's just the character that's within me. There's no better feeling than scoring goals. The feeling that it gave me is a feeling like, can you score goals? So you would never know. But what I will say is, when I score goals, in big games or, in front of 30,000 people, whatever, when it's just you and you've just delivered that particular goal in a way that you've done it, and the feeling is unbelievable. But boxing brought me back to my childhood. It brought me closer to my dad again. It had a spiritual connection to everything that I'd ever done. Did I know how? I knew I was a good fighter, but I didn't know until I got properly punched. I was never really going to know how good I was. But I was good to the point of, I could take a whack. I could give it out. I was tough. But I was tough for so many reasons. Tough because of the whole journey where my life had been, and boxing had always been a passion from an early age, being in and out the gyms from 7-8 years old. So that was the reasons for the boxing journey. Walking out to face another opponent, are you going to deliver today? No one's walking forward to you when that first bell goes. You're the only one that's walking forward. Everyone is taking a step back. You got to produce. So if you're not fit, if you're not ready, if you're not mentally prepared, you're getting beat. Simple. But can't beat Father Time. And when Father Time comes knocking at the door, sometimes you just have to accept that. I did accept when I lost my last fight against a very credible opponent in Cello Renda. I did accept that loss to the point of, I gave him everything. And when you try and you give your all, then you don't really fail. So I walked away from that, and I thought, what, I've given my all. I can't give much more than I've given it to a sport that's in my second career. And I retired the next day, and I walk away happily doing so. I'm calm. And the reason I say I'm calm is just because, when it does come up to bite me a little bit, that it does sometimes, there's sometimes I can lay in bed and look up at the ceiling and feel a little bit drained with what's going on, because my brain can overload sometimes and I can do a lot of thinking. Other than that, I'll always get up. I'll always get up.